Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We're back again with more Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, and this time I have a massive update for you. Patch 1.1.0 is in progress with Owlcat. It is so large with hundreds of fixes that they actually don't feel comfortable just uploading it into the game. So if you go into the properties section of your game in Steam, it'll allow you to switch over to the beta version of the game where this patch will be uploaded, and you'll have the opportunity to experience it for yourself and report issues that you see with the patch. I'm going to leave a link to the patch notes down in the description. It's first going to come to a screen that'll show you how to switch your game to the beta, and then there'll also be a link that has the full patch notes. Once again, there are hundreds of fixes in these notes. So this video is going to be longer than usual, but it is by no means even close to the full list of fixes that Owlcat has provided. So I absolutely encourage you to click the link, scroll through. There might be something that's really important to you that I didn't see as important to the general audience, so I didn't mention it in this video. So it's definitely worth you going ahead and glancing through to see if something that's important to you has been addressed. And with that, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to try to break this out into different sections because, again, this is going to be longer than usual. But to be honest, it's such a massive list, it's kind of hard to have it cleanly broken out into the different groups. So bear with me, I did the best job that I could. First and foremost, as always, I'm going to start out with the ones that I feel like are going to be stand out to you all based upon things that you have reported multiple times. Turn-based mode now better supports mounted combat. Also, you can now select a mount and use its abilities independently of the rider, just as you can in real time with pause mode. By the way, one other quick note, I'm going to say that something is fixed, but obviously that means it's fixed based upon the patch notes and what they've uploaded to the beta. It, again, has not been released to the full game, so I'm not saying that you can go into your game right now and be able to see all of these changes. Just want to make sure that's clear. Okay, moving forward. Charge sometimes didn't work when friendly characters were too close. This has been fixed. Definitely looking forward to the feedback from all of you about whether or not that's actually the case. Azada's incredible might didn't trigger its fortitude save on crit, resulting in no effect. This has been fixed. You can now control armies directly from the Crusade management screen. I know many of you were asking, why isn't this in the game? Looks like they finally added it. Definitely looking forward to playing around with that. Added a Crusade tutorial to the encyclopedia. The Crusade in-game quest could not be finished due to the lack of stat development in Chapter 3. This has been fixed. Very irritating for me. There's an achievement directly tied to this that I still haven't gotten because of this very issue. In Chapter 3, sticking with the Crusade, Dresden starts with the main barracks, main archery range, arsenal, smithy, and supply center. I know a lot of people wondering, why do I have to set up Dresden to be able to train people? Looks like that has been fixed. There's also an improved tutorial for unit recruitment. It now shows which buildings produce which units. The unit's damage and healing abilities have been significantly improved. Units that use damage or healing abilities now have the power attribute that defines the number of outcoming damage and healing. Favorite meta magic bolstered mythic feat was not available. This has been fixed. Shamira from Act 4 no longer applies multiple debuffs that make checks in her dialogue almost impossible to pass. This is huge. Getting past her checks was ridiculously difficult. She could force you into a situation where you had to pass a 40+ will check. It was not doable for some players, quite frankly. So good fix. Fixed camping banners for Finian, meaning that camping banners did not exist previously for Finian. So it'll be nice to see what he has to say finally. In Act 5, the Ashen Lady won't attack again if you previously killed her in a boss battle. The price of loyalty no longer requires you to come alone with Greyboar. If you come with the party, they will join you on the 3rd turn. And in the case of something many of you have mentioned, the character couldn't select a second bloodline as a Sylvan sorcerer. This has been fixed. I added a couple of Hell Knight ones because I know I definitely plan to play as a Hell Knight to see what is the interactivity with Regil, and I know some of you plan to do so as well. The Hell Knight class did not count in the progression of domains from Pentamic Faith. This has been fixed. Hell Knight orders didn't have a mechanical description. This also has been fixed. Updated the Ranger's favorite enemy ability descriptions to clarify the difference between the types of demons. If you're not sure what that means, I do have a part 2 on my favorite subclass videos coming out later this week, and I specifically mentioned that this is the reason I've completely stayed away from Rangers. So now that this has been updated, I might actually give Rangers a try. Outflank was not working according to the description. What does that mean? I have been using Outflank religiously and see it trigger all the time. Not sure what they are changing, but I sure hope it's not a debuff. I've had multiple people tell me that it's really not supposed to work with archers, but it says range in the description and it's triggering with my archers. So I hope that they're not lowering the effectiveness of it. You can now switch the skill used in writing scrolls. It can now either be Knowledge Arcane or Religion. In the inventory and the character screen, the attack tooltip had only a description for the first attack. Now, each of the attacks has its own tooltip. Erebeth's sword didn't always appear during Siege of Dresden. I didn't know you could get Erebeth's sword. I've played this game through at least like 10 times between the beta and the full game. I have never, ever, ever found Erebeth's sword. Has anybody else? For the instances where you don't have time to pick the loot after fighting a demon lord, you will get a dialogue option to pick up a certain object if it's present on the battlefield. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Midnight Bolt didn't always work correctly in the final Ascension battle. This has been fixed. Thank you again. Definitely, deeply appreciated. So that's the full list of what I felt like definitely would be standout and that a large amount of you would want to hear. Now we're going to go through some more of the general patch notes. Again, I've tried to break it out by section, and I'll have chapter lists down below in case there are specific things you want to hear about. I'm going to go through this in order of length. So we'll start with the shorter ones first, and then we'll get to the sections that are much longer. First up is Quest. Primal Treant would sometimes say the lines of your companions, including those not present in the group. That was creepy and was fixed. Red Mask was fighting with fist instead of a rapier during the confrontation in the tavern. That has been fixed. Corruption sometimes didn't get removed from the party if you rested before having to deal with an attack in the camp. That has been fixed. Paladins were standing still during boss fights in the Dresden Siege. That has been fixed. The reward for solving the Crag Lenorm's riddle in the Ineluctable Prison has been increased. Ramian, Eliandra, and Qatar could appear in the threshold even if they died during the game. That has been fixed. And then finally, the Thieflings in the Market Square were hard to find for some people, so a quest has been added to lead players to them. Okay, next section is Companions. Companion interjections have been added to the dialogue with Cranach. Ember sometimes forgot your decisions during her companion quest. This has been fixed. Solseo no longer draws in Nexus during combat. Come on, Solseo, we've got a war to win here. Owlcat's words, not mine. This was something I seem to remember them including in a previous patch, so hopefully it's truly fixed now. For Arushale's What Do You Dream Of quest, if the player hasn't completed the first objective and that particular person leaves the Crusade, the quest will fail. In the third visit to Arushale's dream, Arushale wouldn't become evil, even if the player had chosen the appropriate dialogue. That has been fixed. I will release a video sometime in the next week, walking players through how actually to corrupt Arushale. Ember and Lan had abilities from items with no description. This has been fixed. Woljif also had an ability that had no text. This has been fixed. Seela's animal companion will attack the player if the player attempts to kill Seela, which I guess was not the case originally. Interesting. Okay, now we're getting into the Crusade. Ability tooltips weren't reacting to the right mouse button as intended. This has been fixed. Added visual and sound effects for a unit's extra turn from positive morale or from a unit suffering from negative morale. After you reach the highest rank of a Crusade stat or the highest level for a general, you could see that you need a huge amount for the next level. This has been fixed. Now you will just see a flat line or the current number. The Angel's Movanic Devas were lacking wings. This has been fixed. Change the appearance and portraits of different units in the Crusade management mode. Fighter's Pit, Market, and the Shrine were taking 5 days to build instead of 3 days to build, as was noted in the description. The full tooltip wasn't shown for relics and event cards in Crusade management. This is fixed. In the Crusade mode, there were no buttons to continue and stop the movement of armies. This has been fixed. Some armies in Chapter 5 didn't give an item or a relic after victory. The feats of the Crusade leaders now stack. What does that mean? Like there are some feats that you can take as a Crusade. When they say leader, I assume they mean general. And there's some of them where it's like magic channeling 1, magic channeling 2, magic channeling 3. And the assumption would be that if you take all of them, they would all stack together. So is this saying that those feats actually were not stacking and you were only getting the result of 1? Yeesh. The visual look of armies' portraits has been updated. Unit tooltips were missing some tags with descriptions. And then finally, Zealous Student now provides more feat options at level 20. Next up is graphics and UI. They've added a new cutscene in Chapter 5. Wind now affects grass in the war camp. They've added an area type abyss in Damalchio's mansion location, and they've added an exit marker where it should become available, and edited mini-map borders. Assassin Guild walls are now transparent. The camera in the Act 4 home base no longer ends up inside a mountain. Camera now follows Solseo as he charges forward in the cutscene at Martyr Zacharias' cemetery. They have changed tokens on the global map and in Kenebris. They fixed the texture of the commander's chip on the map, improved the lighting and textures of location markers and other chips on the global map. Characters no longer appear on the rock when exiting the cave in Lost Chapel. Characters no longer walk in the air in Act 4. You can now climb through the rubble from both sides in Green Gates. Some portraits were missing in turn-based mode. This has been fixed. Some animal companions did not fit into the character window. That's been fixed. Auto formation now takes mounted animals into account. Names could be written with lowercase first letters. Owlcat says, respect yourself. I think that's hilarious. Why not let people make their names lowercase if they want them to be? The line to offer a page in the storyteller's dialogue will not become grayed out if the player has a page to offer to him. That's been fixed, and I'm thankful for that. I think that was probably very, very confusing for players who didn't realize that, hey, just keep clicking it even though it's grayed out. The tutorial will no longer appear during dialogue. Thankful for that. Can we also make sure that if I click the little checkbox and say, stop bringing up tutorial messages from this group, that the tutorial stops coming up? Because I feel like that's not working. I feel like I get tutorial messages even in Act 5. So maybe this has fixed all of that, but good to see they're doing something about it. When finishing the game, there was no message about it, meaning you would get the ending slides and then you would just come to the main menu. So maybe Owlcat intended that they would give a little message saying, hey, thank you for playing the game, blah, blah, blah. Voice lines of the Queen of the Act 4 Palace were missing. Ooh, so there's more voice acting for her maybe that we haven't actually heard. Characters sometimes walked instead of running when asked to cover a large distance. And then they have fixed 3 achievements. Hey, I Know You, achievements which required you to be at core difficulty or above, and the Spark should all be working properly now. Next up is Mythic Paths. The perception check now shows a correct DC doing dialogue at the last distortion on the Aeon's path. You may now refuse to go inside the distortion and proceed with the usual ending. Avu's breath weapon worked incorrectly. A successful reflex saving throw didn't have the damage. Yikes. So for those of you depending upon the dragon, she's going to get less powerful after this update. Avu could switch to her other 3 weapon slots, thus losing her bite. This has been fixed. Ode to Miraculous Magic didn't work for the DC of will save based mind affecting spells. That's been fixed. The description of supersonic speed says that Azada is always under a haste spell, but it was not appearing in the active effects. This has been fixed. Angel Sun Form spell didn't work correctly. I've actually seen a few of you comment on this, so I'm looking forward to hopefully hearing that this is working properly now. If you hired a certain person as an Undead Lich party member, he will now no longer also appear in the final Act 6 battles. Lich hairstyles have been improved. What? You can change your hairstyle once you become a Lich? That's interesting. How does that work? The Necromancy vendor reacts to you if you are a Dhampir. Demonic Rage at rank 9 lost all bonuses and only granted +2 normal rage bonus. This has been fixed. The demon's final aspects could lead to an infinite application of Demonic Rage. This has been fixed. The Mythic Demon Rage cutscene is now voiced. I have no idea what that means. I haven't played through Demon yet, so I have no idea what Demon Rage cutscene is. When a mythic demon would raise the Sword of Valor, it would turn into a glowing void. This has been fixed. A glowing void sounds perfect for a demon, but okay. The Trickster Glorious Beard has had its visuals fixed. Trickster ability Summon Wild Hunt Monarch and Summon Wild Hunt incorrectly summon the same single creature. This has been fixed. The secret Mythic Path was able to stack several sword upgrades, which was not intended. This has been fixed. If the player character chose the path of Swarm, all critters will disappear from the capital. Swarm size was not updating when devouring creatures. This has been fixed. The descriptions of Swarm Form, Swarm Feast, and Swarm Infest abilities have been clarified to make it clear they cannot work together. Swarm That Walks was devouring only Crusader Patrol leaders in Is. This has been fixed. Swarm That Walks now becomes immune to the prone condition. All right, and then we finally have come to the very last section, which is classes and mechanics. This is also the largest section. Let's go ahead and go through it. Divine services in safe areas didn't work if the character was polymorphed. This has been fixed. Classed, Uncanny Dodge, and Improved Uncanny Dodge have been deleted from the Skull Talent section. The ability Mythic Skill Focused Persuasion didn't work for Intimidation. This has been fixed. Ability Animal Companion Black Horse was not visible. This has been fixed. So for all those people who have been looking at my Sealer builds and saying that they don't have the Black Horse, maybe now it will show up for you. All kinetic blades now have proper scabbard visuals. Blood Ragers with the Celestial Bloodline now correctly deal additional damage with angelic attacks to all demons. Blood Rager Primalist, when choosing the Talent Fiend Totem Lesser, didn't get the Gore extra attack while in rage. This has been fixed. Mighty Blood Rage now correctly allows you to cast a Blood Rager spell of any level as a swift action. Blood Rider was limited to riding a Smilodon. This has been fixed. Hell Knight Signifier couldn't choose spell in spell specialization if spell specialization was in another class. This has been fixed. In some cases, it was impossible to select the Lore Master class when leveling up despite having all prerequisites. This has been fixed. Lore Master couldn't get any combat feat as a secret, ignoring the prerequisites. This has been fixed. Lore Master level 1 did not increase your caster level. This has been fixed. Lilitude Demons had 8 claw attacks instead of 4. This has been fixed. Metamagic Bolster spell wasn't in the wizard bonus feat. The Bolster spell feat is missing information about spell level increase. Both of those have been fixed. Paladin Martyr can now take lingering performance as a feat. They have redesigned the Scald archetype Court Poet. Smite Evil ability of Divine Hunter Animal Companion was labeled as Smite Good. This has been fixed. The Enlarged Person spell granted by Primal Druids did not give the expected +6 bonus to either Strength or Constitution at Druid level 16. It still only gave a +4. That's been fixed. Deskari Swarm Infest Disease can now be removed upon arrest. They have updated the leading strike description. When you already had 2 classes with an animal companion, you couldn't get a 3rd class with an animal companion. That's been fixed. They have clarified the Ashen Curse description. Additional attacks count from base attack bonus could not exceed 3. This has been fixed. Hellspawn, Devilspawn, Tieflings were getting a -2 to Charisma even if they had Sorcerer's Infernal Bloodline. This has been fixed. If you had Greater Vital Strike among your abilities, you could use all 3, Vital Strike, Improved Vital Strike, and Greater Vital Strike all together. Interesting. So one of the things that I mentioned again in the subclass video that's coming up is that one of the subclasses I want to try out is Rowdy, because I was saying we would see damage numbers for Vital Strike and couldn't figure out where they were coming from. So I wanted to go through having a character that specialized in that, hoping that maybe I'd be able to figure it out. But it looks like this is confirmation that that skill, that talent was bugged and giving greater damage numbers than it was actually supposed to. Fascinating. Order of the Nail now correctly allows the player to pick favorite enemy. For already created characters, the option will appear on the next level up. Stigmatized Witch cantrips now have correct DC based on charisma instead of intelligence. Terrain Mastery Rogue talent now has the option to pick Abyss. Animal companions with Bulwark archetype could become a little too sturdy. This has been fixed. What does that mean? What do you mean too sturdy? You don't even give him heavy armor. I'm upset about this because I have a Sealer build coming at the end of the week where I have my animal companion using Bulwark. Like, you sacrifice offense for defense. Why are you nerfing that? Anyway, Arcane Pool ability of Magus Armored Battle Mage didn't work. This has been fixed. Mounting polymorphed animal companions is no longer possible. It was never intended to be in the first place. Ranger didn't share the favorite enemy with animal companions. This has been fixed. Hellfire Ray's fire component didn't add Sorcerer's Dragonfire, brass, red, gold bloodline, +1 damage per die rolled. This has been fixed. When creating mercenaries, their experience did not match the player's experience. This has been fixed. And that is the full list of changes that I pulled out of their list that I felt like our community would really want to know about. Like I said, in no way, shape, or fashion does this represent the full list of changes that are upcoming for the game. So again, I highly recommend you go ahead and click that link, look through it yourself. If you're interested in trying them out, of course, you can switch your game to the beta and look through things. And that's the video. Hope all of you enjoyed this. If you did, please leave me a like down below, share this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.